We are the Ghouls Next Door media literacy show from a horror lens where we explore the real life, historical, psychological, cultural influences behind our cinematic fears. And we are closing out our It Is Written series with one of my all-time favorite writers. I'm so glad that we're covering him. His work spans, it's horror, and each one is so unique and exciting, and he definitely has this real love for the genre, and he's made a space for himself there. And so we're talking about Stephen Graham Jones.
Let's learn about Stephen Graham Jones, the human being. So I'll be discussing Stephen Graham Jones, another amazing author in our author series. Like River Solomon, there's a poetry to how he writes and conveys history through horror, and I'll be unpacking a bit of his own history in his life and journey into becoming an author. So first I want to give a big shout out because I was texting about this with Gabe because I was like, oh my God, this is the best, most thorough website I have ever seen. And as a content creator, this website was a dream because it was a one-stop spot for everything you could ever hope to know about him. So I just wanted to shout that out because half the battle of our show is trying to scrounge through the internet to find the info we're looking for, usually fighting against paywalls or clickbait to do so. So the level to which I was geeking out that everything was in one place and how that made our research process so much more straightforward. Just want to say
hopefully
kudos.
One day we'll be on there.
Yeah. He'll hear our review.
Put us in there.
Look at it. Yeah. And something that was really cool about his websites, I recommend checking it out, is that it's so much just written by him. If you want to like get a sense of his vibe, hear his voice and all of that, like it's all from his perspective. He's just so authentic in the presentation of it. Like he just says words, like all his unfiltered thoughts. It's not like polished, like like someone who's your editor or something for your book writing. Like he wrote all of this stuff. It's like his own little like social media of sorts. So it's like very cool just like to kind of get a sense of who he is as a person and like kind of have access to that, because I feel like you usually wouldn't. I know when we were looking for a lot of our other authors, it was like interviews and short blurbs about them, but they were all like kind of detached from their own voice, with the exception, I think, of Tananarive Du, who had like actually written like an article about herself in like the book, but like reading his stuff felt so personal and it was just very cool. And he wrote his own bio that he's like, use this for stuff, so I'm going to. And on his website, he outlines his bio, which I'll read for you now. Stephen Graham Jones is a New York Times bestselling author of 35 or so novels and collections, and there's some novellas and comic books in there as well. Stephen's been an NEA recipient, has won the Texas Institute of Letters Award for Fiction, the Los Angeles Times Bay Bradbury Prize, and the Mark Twain American Voice and Literature Award, the August Derleth British Fantasy Award for Best Horror Novel, the Independent Publishers Award for Multicultural Fiction, the Western Literature Association Distinguished Achievement Award, the American Library Association's RUSA Award, and Alex Award, and the 2023 American Indian Festival of Words Writers Award, the Locus Award, 4 Bram Stoker Awards, 3 Shirley Jackson Awards, and 6 This Is Horror Awards. So obviously very well receiving the accolades. He's written a lot of books, and all of them are amazing. So of course that's going to come with the territory. Stephen's also been inducted into the Texas Literary Hall of Fame and has been a finalist for the World Fantasy Award, the Eisner Award, and he's made the Bloody Disgusting's top 10 horror novels, been a New York Times book club selection, and been on Barack Obama's summer reading list. He's the guy who wrote Mongrels, The Only Good Indians, My Heart is a Chainsaw, Earth Divers, I Was a Teenage Slasher, The Buffalo Hunter, and Killer on the Road. And Stephen currently lives in Boulder, Colorado. I'll be transparent. I've only read 2 of his books, specifically The Only Good Indians and The Buffalo Hunter. And I'm very excited to keep going and read even more of his work, especially since there's such a vast library to explore. And I fully suggest you do the same. A little about his life. I'll be pulling this information specifically from Stephen Graham Jones Facts for Kids, just because it was so straightforward. I was like, you can't go wrong. This is like the bare basics of all of his life. So I figured it was kind of perfect. So Stephen Graham Jones was born on January 22nd in 1972, which means he's an Aquarius, I'm pretty sure. He's an official member of the Blackfeet Tribe of the Blackfeet Indian Reservation of Montana and is a talented Native American author. The genre he usually writes in are horror, crime, and science fiction. In his professional career, he's also a professor and teaches English at the University of Colorado, which he's been working at since 2008. For his early life, he was born in Midland, Texas, to parents Dennis Jones and Rebecca Graham. So combining the two last names of his parents, which is also just like what an epic name too. He just has like a cool,
very Latin of them to keep simple.
It's very cool. Like many authors, he loved reading from a young age and started reading a lot extra at 11 years old. His childhood dream was to be a farmer, and in his youth, never thought he would become a teacher or a writer. He really thought like he'd do like a physical job. And his experience at college encouraged him to want to keep studying. Specifically, he earned his first degree, a Bachelor of Arts in English and Philosophy, in 1994 from Texas Tech University. He continued his education and went for a Master's of Arts in English from the University of Northern Texas in 1996. And in 1998, he finished his PhD from Florida State University. Still, he thought he would have a physical job. He was like, I got a PhD, bye. I'm gonna go work at this warehouse in Texas. But unfortunately, and I guess fortunately for us, because it transitioned him into being a writer, but also it's sad when someone gets hurt. He suffered a back injury, which forced a switch to a desk job, and thus transitioned to working at the Library of Texas Tech University, and his work at the library transitioned into teaching there. So, while it was not a planned exodus from physical work, he's done amazing things with that transition. It's like you think of Love is Blind, Alex, and how he just couldn't cope with not playing soccer anymore. And it's like,
get your life together, buddy.
Do a different thing. It's okay. Obviously grieve, but like move on. And not to compare them. But like he pivoted and did a great job of it, essentially. So when it came to beginning his writing journey, he had met an editor during his time at Florida State named Jane Silver, who was from Houghton Mifflin, and they met at a writing conference and got to talking about a novel idea that Jones has had. He hadn't written it yet, but Silver liked the idea, so Jones wrote the book, and the book was titled The Fast Red Road, which was his first published novel in 2000. His next book, All the Beautiful Sinners, came out in 2003, and the rest is history, as it has obviously kept writing and writing and writing all the amazing novels we know today. As I said earlier, there's a poetry to how he writes, and it makes at least the two that I've read so far, feel deeply personal. It feels like he's writing to you, like in a personal way. Like you just feel very much like it's real and like you're reading someone's diary, but like also it's like a letter. It feels like you're in very the room intentional with him. Yeah, absolutely. And he describes his own writing style as unique, using dark themes and in a playful way, which I think Gabe would definitely agree with the ow comedy that he
I'm so sorry
embraces.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
I want to say the intrusive thoughts, and we're all going to laugh a little bit while we're crying, and it's good. It's cathartic and healing. In terms of inspiration, Jones calls out Louis L'Amour, saying his novels helped him become a writer. He describes L'Amour's old Western stories as part of his DNA as a writer, and describes his own stories as Native American Gothic that uses fantasy, science fiction, and horror all together. Something unique about his presentation is that the themes presented in his novels are very much based in true history, which in itself is horrific. It's like kind of like Tananarive, where you're like, wow, Haints are scary, but it's like, it's even scarier people. And it's very much that throughout. So to balance this, he will lean into adding strangeness and humor to the stories to kind of ease the tension of the reality and how heavy that reality feels. As for his family life, SGJ is married with 2 children. His wife's name is Nancy, and they married on May 20th, 1995. Together, they live in Boulder, Colorado, where Jones's Jones teaches at the University of Colorado. He takes trips to northern Montana, which should sound relevant if you've read the book, because it takes place in Montana. He goes there in July and attends the Blackfeet Nation powwow. In November, he goes for a yearly Montana Blackfeet elk hunts, and the annual elk hunt actually inspired the novel The Only Good Indians. So why does he write? He writes a lot and writes amazing things. Why does he do it? He says, why write? Because I can't help it. So I pulled this from the blog, Why I Write, a piece by Stephen Graham Jones. So again, just in his own voice, you get to kind of hear some of the cadence. So why does Stephen Graham Jones write? It's interesting, especially since he never imagined that life for himself growing up. But in finding that path, it seems to have become an inevitability for him, something he cannot help but do. And that's what we hope all jobs can eventually be, if we must be forced to do them, you know? He says, I write because I can't draw. I write because I can't cut to the basket slick enough to go pro. I write because I eat too many sixlets and drink too much tea and my fingers get all jittery and I have to put them somewhere. I write because for a few pages at a time, I can make the world make sense. Poetry. Even like his blog, I'm like, this is art. In this writing has become something he cannot help but do, but also it is something that brings him peace and makes him feel connected to something necessary. While he may have initially fallen into it through his love of education and a back injury that changed his trajectory, he has built something beautiful and unique in that space. And it seems like something that brings him peace and keeps him from restlessness, which I think is relatable as well. He creates what he does not see in the world. So he continues and he says, I write because a lot of what I write because a lot of what I read disappoints me. I write because a lot of what I read intimidates me. I write because I'm jealous. I write because I'll drive my wife out of the house if I have to follow her around, tell her all the stories in my head. I write because I think sometimes that I know the truth, not to say it, but how it feels. And I can sometimes glance off that if I'm not paying too much attention. I write because there's nothing more honest that I can think of. And I think that comes across in his books and also on his website. His perspective is unique and only something he can create and share, and is so honest and is something so important. So in a capitalistic world that takes so much and forces us to sacrifice our creativity for survival, it seems like an inherently revolutionary field of work. Your history has been robbed of you. Right.
Yeah.
You know, it is such a brave and powerful thing to decide to tell a story, preserve a piece of yourself in history and writing. And in a world that has tried to erase the personhood of so many, but specifically the native populations in the Americas, to preserve your personhood is so rebellious and important. So he continues, I write because it's not work. I write because I want more toys. I write because I don't know what to say to people I know and love in prison, but I can send them books. I write because I love roller coasters. I don't write because I want to live forever. I write because I want to live now. I write because a teacher once read one of my pages, looked at me like maybe. I write because all the rest of the teachers didn't even look at my pages before deciding about me. I write for revenge. I write because books are legal and other things aren't. And there's even more. I didn't include all of it just because I was like, then I'm just reading this entire blog post.
Should
like
just
you can
hit
go read
play.
yourself. But like, it was so good. And I was like, even this is poetry. I can't. Which we're geeking a lot. But another thing of note that's pretty cool is he features a nonprofit on his website, which I wanted to highlight. So in the hopes to boost it and that people will go look at it and donate to it. But it's called the Firekeeper Alliance. It's a 501c3 suicide prevention and mental health nonprofit organization serving community members within the Blackfeet Nation. Firekeepers provides strength-based counseling support and delivers creative, cultural, and music-based programming designed to promote healthy coping strategies, emotional regulation, and community connection. So if you would like to support the Firekeeper Alliance, there's a link in our blog, and I highly recommend. So
yeah, and it's like, I think an organization like that is to help maybe prevent the fate of Ricky's, Lewis's, Cass's, and Gabe's out there. Because it's like there's like we really get like a glimpse of the res in The Only Good Indians, but it's a really like deep glimpse. You know, like we're seeing these people and a little bit of the desolation of it, I would say. And like that like small community, like where you're stuck, right? And I think that's really pure. And I, learned a lot through that. I learned a lot through about like indigenous cultures and connections in history through a lot of his work. And it's like you said in previous episodes, right? Like sometimes we have to write, it has to be written in this like fantastical narrative way to make the real hard history something that is digestible, something that we're like separated enough from, but close enough to like still feel, and but not let it overtake us. And it's like it does a justice to history in lives that have been otherwise dismissed or ignored or just annihilated. And this country has like a history of that, like of like they say like history is written by the winners or whatever, and
the victors.
They want us to believe that those things aren't real. They're taking them out of history books. And so if we could keep books like this where they're especially in horror that's like getting dismissed and not like valued as much, then it flows under the radar and people are able to learn and maybe do something about it, or at least like now it's known. I think just having it known is really important.
It's an important first step for sure. They say like the first step is like learning, and then there's the action pieces that will hopefully follow. And yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like in terms of the Firekeeper Alliance, like if not for the Ponoka, like you just have a domino circumstance, desperation. Like she just sets it up,
right?
And then like they do all the work, they do all the horror, like society and the systems do the murdering, like it's she just kind of stands there and watches it happen. The only one she actually like kind of goes after is Denora.
She definitely is like,
and it's like
poking at like a sensitive bruise on everybody.
And like so it's those things without her there are just like really unfortunate and like awful circumstances that domino affected into the loss of these lives. So it's like the reality of that is that there is a large population of people who suffer from the mental health weight of what America has done to the Native population, and unfortunately does result into suicide and loss of life. So
I do think
they're doing important work ultimately. So I
think of like the headlines that Lewis would think through, and the one that actually is like the chapter for Ricky is that headline, all caps. And the fact that Lewis would think of that, because they all are just headlines and they're believed. Like no one really understands that there's like, even with this folklore embedded in their society, like no one really believes in Ponoka. Like they're thinking like, of course, Ricky, of course he was murdered outside
that just happened.
And Lewis like flipped because he was already kind of weird because he married a white woman and he tried to leave and he got tangled up, with the Crow woman. And like now we have like Cass and Gabe who've been stuck here on this res, and there's been a fermenting of like their distrust, and they're like they blame each other for some of the things that have gone wrong, and they're also stuck to each other, and so they can't like there's like a fear of being like disentangled because they're the only two left, and so much of who they are is their history together, is that solid group. So I think like like you're saying, like Ponoka is there, but she's not. Like in the reality of the situation, it's just like a series of unfortunate events that are very unfortunately believed. Shout out to Etsy Bill
absolutely.
Shout out to Good Stab. Straight up. He man, the end of that
the entire time I was like, I get it. Like I'd be so like I love my grandpa with everything within me. He is the reason I'm still here today. But if I found out, I'd be like, oh, that's
right.
Well, you did one good thing. That's great.
I'm sorry.
Ow.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like there's no like he was like Good Stab was right.
She's like, it'll die with me, and that's probably best. She's like, you're welcome. I just got a cat, and that's wonderful. Yeah, I think that, and I just think like, wow, what a just
so really, it was so real.
Yeah, what an inventive way to deal with the monsters. Like, of your life. Like Good Stab, dealing with both the Catman and Arthur was like big brain. And he's just like, now I can go. All right. It was Mike, mic drop, you know? And I think that's really great. And it's, he really roughs you up and you feel for it. There's a shorter story called Night of the Mannequins. It's really short. And I remember being really pissed at the end because I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This, like, it was brilliant. Like, it was real. Like, I was not expecting it. And then it happens. And I'm like, this whole time? What? Why? You're like, what did you do to me? Like, where did you come up with this idea?
Yeah.
You know, and it is one of those moments where sometimes I'm like, I'm glad you became a writer. Because what were these stories doing?
Yeah, because ow. No, it's
what are you gonna do with those?
Yeah. It's so ow.
It's ow and it's necessary.
And it's also like, the generational trauma and like a lot of it's like healing generational trauma and like what our body remembers and like what the fact that deer remember that trains are scary, not because they had a personal experience with trains, but they were like genocided. And like now their body remembers that now we gotta be scared of that. Like it's so
or like Good Stab's real. Buffalo, who like loves him and trusted him, and so therefore trusted another, and it brought about his death. Like, that is like there's that too. Like there's so much.
That was one of I cried because of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Give this man a break. There's like 7 times of crying.
Everything he loves.
There's like him talking to his dad. Yeah. There's that. There's obviously the ending. And even when he's talking to the boy, the young one in the fire.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think it's that like his like rejection from his culture is one of the most heartbreaking things. Is like he can't go back and like that horror
and like do the thing.
The horror of like he can't do it. Like he's not he can never go back.
He can't ride a horse.
He can never be full himself, and he's like let everybody down. Yeah, it's like
oh my
it's
God,
thick. There's so much story, but it felt like it was like 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I didn't even realize it was long.
That's good. That's a good story.
And that's like so rarely happens to me where I'm like, how much book is left?
Yeah. I'm feeling that right now in a book. I'm like, I don't even know if I remember anything I'm reading.
But I feel like every book that we've picked for like, or you picked, producer friend, for this series, like, was so spot on. And like, I know not all books are going to be like this, but the standard has been set so high for everything I read going forward. Where I'm like, I think I just stay with these authors until something happens.
Just
until you show me a new one.
You follow me, Basuda Book Babe. You follow. They will usher you into a whole new world of literary brilliance.
A fantastic plug for your personal content.
But I hope you liked this episode and you like this series. I think we get a lot of love for the It Is Written series. Let us know if you've tried out an author that maybe you were on the fence about, or if you like Stephen Graham Jones, tell me what your favorite book is and why. If you got recommendations of his 30 plus novels, like what's up? What do you got? I want to read them. They're on my. I have Killer in the Road. I finished The Babysitter Lives, so I have Killer in the Road. That's my next one.
Okay.
But yeah, just like. I'm on it all the time. So let us know. Remember to leave a comment, like, subscribe, all those fun things to keep us, support us. We got some cool things coming up. So make sure you're following us on social media, different events, conversations with local authors, things like that, at local comic shops. I feel like Stephen Graham Jones would like that. And Stephen, if you're out there, please be my friend. Or just, like, can you just do a little voice recording where you say something nice? I just keep that for my life. But in like a not weird,
a life goal
uncomfortable
now
way.
achieved. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you guys did good episode.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for liking my books.
Oh my gosh. That'd be great. I hope we did a good job.
And then
I would cry.
Frame it. I don't know.
And that's our show.
Oh, we need a new phrase. Yeah, that's our show.
That's it. Bye.